Coming up on Around San Diego, a new audit release shows the massive amount of money the state of California has been spending on homelessness, but is it actually even helping? And if you were impacted by the devastating floods in January, you only have a number of days left to apply for FEMA assistance. Our Shannon Handy will walk you through how you can. Plus, we're hearing from a man who says he found a card skimmer inside of a store in Hillcrest, how you can spot one yourself. So much for joining us as we take you around San Diego. I'm CBS 8's Jenny Day. I'll get you caught up on a week's worth of news and look ahead in just 30 minutes. We do begin with your money. Now, despite spending hundreds of millions of dollars on homelessness, a new audit found San Diego and the state of California have all failed to track and report where that taxpayer money is going. That audit found that the state spent $24 billion over the past 5 years on homelessness. During that same time period, homelessness has increased by 32% statewide. That audit also found the city has not evaluated the effectiveness of many of its homelessness programs. CBS 8's Richard Allen has more on what else this audit uncovered and how city leadership is responding.
The results of the audit were frustrating for me.
Assemblymember Josh Hoover is one of 4 state legislators who requested this audit more than a year ago.
The state has completely failed to track homelessness spending in California. It has failed to collect data and assess the outcomes of the spending.
The audit specifically examined 5 statewide programs, determining that only 2, Project Homekey, which converts hotels into housing, and CalWorks housing support for low-income Californians, were likely cost-effective. The others, though, lacked enough data to establish whether or not they worked to combat homelessness.
The first step has to be we have to increase transparency of these programs and demand, the legislature must demand that these programs are collecting data, reporting the results, and measuring the effectiveness.
The audit also examined the homelessness spending by the cities of San Diego and San Jose.
Neither of them centrally track and report their spending and outcomes. Neither one of them have evaluated the effectiveness of their homeless programs.
This comes as no surprise to me.
Homeless advocate Michael McConnell says he believes this audit highlights the city's lack of accountability when it comes to combating homelessness.
They've been getting so much money and have very little to show for it.
San Diego Mayor Todd Gloria pushes back on that, saying that the city has prudently spent the funds provided by the state to help us address homelessness, adding that last year 11,440 people were served through its homelessness program supported by state funds, doubling the number of shelter options and expanding programs to get San Diegans into permanent housing. He goes on to say that all of us can use this audit as a tool to understand how much more needs to be done in order to continue meaningfully addressing homelessness, and we hope to impress on state leaders the need for adequate and ongoing funding for California's biggest crisis. McConnell, though, fears that little will change based on this audit.
I don't think they're going to learn anything from it. They have their head stuck in the sand, and they don't want to pull it out.
Richard Allen, CBS 8.
Yeah, and Assembly Member Hoover tells CBS 8 that while in the early stages, new legislation is being developed in response to this audit's findings. Also, if you would like to read the mayor's statement and in its entirety and check out this audit for yourself, just head to cbs8.com. Meantime, the San Diego County Board of Supervisors is supporting a proposed affordable housing plan at the Del Mar Fairgrounds. The unanimous vote Tuesday was more symbolic than anything else, though support from the board might help speed up the process. Supervisor Tara Lawson-Remer brought the resolution forward, a proposal to build 61 units at the fairgrounds. We've learned all of the units will be for low and extremely low income households. And you know it, we are working for you to see how things are going at the City of San Diego's safe sleeping sites. CBS 8 was there when the city set up these sites, on one on 20th and B Street, and then the other there at the O Lot out Balboa Park to help people experiencing homelessness. Some of the tents are now faded from the sun and have blue tarps draped over them. We found out that there is a reason for that.
The reason that people are seeing tarps over the tents is the tents leak. condensation gets in them. So people need some kind of shade over the tent.
Yeah, so the nonprofit Housing for the Homeless tells us between the two sites, more than 450 people are staying in tents right now. Since opening last year, about 28 people have transitioned into some form of long-term housing. Now, if you were impacted by the January floods, you do have until April 19th to apply for FEMA help. The agency will be at the Mountain View Community Center through that deadline if you're having trouble applying for assistance. CBS 8's Shannon Handy is working for you on how that process works.
It's been very heartbreaking and traumatizing.
It's been nearly 2.5 months since water rushed into Jamesina Hart's home. She hasn't been back since, instead jumping from hotels to friends' houses. I met her this afternoon outside the Mountain View Community Center, where FEMA has set up a disaster recovery hub to help people like her apply for federal assistance. What is it that you need to get back on your feet?
Right now, what we really need is a reliable place to go, instead of going to house.
FEMA is offering face-to-face assistance both here and at the Spring Valley Library now through April 19th, the deadline to apply for aid. The process can be overwhelming, but well worth it. FEMA is offering grants to both renters and homeowners who are either not insured or underinsured. They can range from 18 months of rent to a maximum $42,500 each for home repairs and personal property loss.
You can move through those frustrations of applying, and FEMA then is always here to help through that process.
There are several ways to apply for help. You can use the FEMA app, call their 1-800 number, or go to disasterassistance.gov. Online, there are step-by-step instructions to follow, including entering your zip code and the damage you suffered. You'll then be prompted to create an account. It's important to have your social security number and bank information available, and make sure you fill out everything as completely and accurately as you can, including the best phone number to reach you.
Something we see again and again is the application getting stuck because FEMA can't get the home inspection done. It's because the inspector can't get in touch with the applicant.
FEMA says it's important to note in times of recovery, answer unknown numbers because it could be FEMA on the other end. And if you're wondering where your case stands, you can always check the status online once you apply. Are you hopeful now that you have applied?
Yes, I'm very hopeful that I apply. Hopefully that since I did apply, that we get the ball rolling and we can get all the things that I need.
Shannon Handy, CBS 8.
Shannon, appreciate it. Well, right now there is a push to educate people living in their vehicles in the city of San Diego about their rights. This after a federal class action settlement set new rules for how the city is allowed to enforce its vehicle habitation ordinance. Wednesday, a meeting was held in Mission Bay where attorneys were available to answer questions for people currently living in their vehicles. The lead attorney on the case told us the city must provide a space for people to park their vehicles overnight. And if there isn't a space available at one of the safe parking lots, then they cannot be given a ticket. She also says the city is now required to expand that safe parking lot program and must post on its website daily where space is available.
There's going to be a new training bulletin for police to follow, that they can't just target someone because they appear to be living in their vehicle. They have to have a suspicion of another crime. If it's a suspicion of a parking violation, they have to give them an opportunity to relocate.
So the new rules won't take effect until the end of the year. But in the meantime, CBS 8 is told police are not supposed to be ticketing or towing people for living in their cars. Well, now we are hearing from a Hillcrest man who has a warning about card skimmers after he says he found one while using an ATM. He says he was using that ATM inside of a CVS in Hillcrest when his card got jammed. When he got it out, he found a device attached to it. The man went online to warn his neighbors and was surprised by the comments he saw.
A couple of people that had used this actual ATM here found out their card was locked or blocked, or anonymous use was found on their record.
Yeah, the FBI says skimmers usually go over the card reader, but can also be installed inside those machines, making them difficult to detect. So to check, the FBI recommends just wiggling the card reader and pulling the edges of the keypad. And a new pedestrian crossing signal is up and running on El Cajon Boulevard in La Mesa. It's part of the city of La Mesa's plan to reduce pedestrian deaths. The Hawk signal is a bit different than the ones most of us are used to.
Wait, El Cajon Boulevard.
Yeah, so city officials say once a pedestrian activates that signal, a cluster of lights will turn a flashing yellow to warn drivers to slow down. The lights then change from solid red to flashing red. That means drivers have to stop and may proceed if there are not any pedestrians. And right now, city leaders are working to figure out how to improve San Diego's failing streets. According to a new report, nearly $2 billion is needed to improve the conditions of those roads. CBS 8's Steve Price was there on Tuesday as different plans were discussed.
City leaders meeting today to talk about their new pavement condition report, which shows the city's overall score has dropped from satisfactory down to poor, with several roads scoring below a 10 on a 100-point scale.
A total need of $1.9 billion is needed over the next 10 years.
The city's transportation department manager throwing out big numbers to fix our streets. And that's not to make them perfect. That's just to get them back up to an overall rating of satisfactory.
That's a really big price tag. We're going to have to make some very fiscally responsible decisions here as we try to get the roads into as good shape as we can.
Councilman Stephen Whitburn is chair of the committee that oversees transportation issues. And when it comes to where to go from here, they've hit a bump in the road. The council with 3 options, and none are going to make everyone happy. Fix the worst roads first, which is the most expensive option. Fix the roads that impact the most people, which is also expensive but not as bad. Or do what's called the best value plan, which fixes roads that are bad but not horrible and will get the city back to that satisfactory level at the lowest price.
We as a city council want to take a deep dive and make sure that we're doing the right thing to address our roads going forward.
The city seems to be favoring the best value plan, but working for you, we comb through an analysis report from the Office of the Independent Budget, which states it is concerning that over the next 10 years, there appears to be no plan for addressing failed streets. Bottom line, there are equity concerns, as many of the worst streets are in the least affluent communities. But city leaders say they will make sure all districts see improvements.
Every single district in this city has roads that are not as good as they should be. I can tell you that every constituent in every district knows that and will share that, and our job is to try to make as many improvements as we can in as many districts as possible.
Today's presentation before the council was only for informational purposes. At this point, no final decisions were voted on. Working for you in downtown, Steve Price, CBS 8.
You know, we'll keep you posted. Steve, thank you. Still ahead, Feeding San Diego is celebrating the grand opening of its new marketplace. More details ahead. Well, the Lafayette Hotel in North Park is proving what's old is new again. It was just named the 2024 New Hotel of the Year by Esquire magazine. It's so cute. The Lafayette was originally built in 1946. It recently went through a $31 million renovation that wrapped up last summer. Esquire named the hotel's style, food, room designs, and a Victorian-style bowling alley as reasons for the recognition. Hey, and on Thursday, Feeding San Diego celebrated the grand opening of its marketplace. The new store is stocked with healthy food, and anyone in the community is able to stop by once a month to get any of the items that they need. This comes as gas, grocery, and living costs are all on the rise across the country, really making it hard for people to make ends meet. An SDSU student who works at the marketplace told us seeing families so happy is a great reward.
When there's children that come in and then they're just like so happy to see all the stuff that they can pick, because they're just like, oh, I want that, oh, I want that. And then I'm just like, it always puts a smile on their face, just seeing them be happy about the stuff that they're able to get access to.
Yeah, the marketplace is open every Tuesday through Friday, starting at 9 a.m. You can find more information on our website, cbs8.com. Well, coming up, Monday's solar eclipse is now history, but it's not the first one to have ever happened, of course. Our Sean Stiles witnessed the 1991 solar eclipse and shares his experience. Yeah, so this is what it looked like on Monday as the first North American city went dark. This was in Mazatlan on Mexico's Pacific coast as a total solar eclipse was visible. The path of totality then crossed through the Midwest before turning toward the northeast. Pretty incredible. The next total solar eclipse will not happen until 2045, but on July 11th, 1991, an unusually long total solar eclipse put on a really memorable show. It's been called the Big One, and our Sean Stiles experienced it himself.
We're looking at about as good as it gets here in San Diego, 58% of the eclipse. I'm with the Schrader-Purcell family for their eclipse party, but back in 1991, I was in Cabo San Lucas where the big one happened, 6 minutes and 54 seconds of totality.
Good evening. There went the sun.
It was the lead story on the CBS Evening News.
Gave scientists and amateur sun watchers an eyeful today along a path 9,000 miles long.
And CBS 8 had a crew in Mexico. The path stretched from the Central Pacific and Hawaii into Mexico and ending in South America. For those in the southern Baja Peninsula, Lady Luck was on their side with clear skies.
It was beautiful. It was like nothing I ever saw before.
I'll never forget it. It was amazing.
Witnessing a total eclipse is something surreal because of how quickly everything changes and how nature reacts. All around, the animals and insects immediately go into night mode. Birds that sing in the morning and evening begin their song, and insects come crawling out from everywhere, starting to forage. In Cabo, the temperature dropped nearly 10 degrees in 2 minutes. Just before totality, a couple things happen with the light. The colors start to become a little less bright, and another, which is amazing, the shadows from leaves actually form little crescents on the ground. As totality is just about to happen, you get a diamond. It's the flare as the sun shadow moves completely over the sun. And if you miss it, well, you're in luck because it happens as the moon starts to move away from the sun. Witnessing any total eclipse is absolutely extraordinary, but the big one was 6 minutes and 54 seconds, the longest in modern time, and not to be repeated for another century and a half. But any eclipse.
It's amazing.
Even the partial eclipse we saw in San Diego is something to remember.
He's 9 weeks old and it's his first eclipse.
Especially for the Purcell and Schroeder family. It was memorable. Alina Schroeder. Even at 58%, it's incredible.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Imagine this at totality. How would that, what do you think the feeling you would get?
It'd probably be kind of eerie, but amazing. Once in a lifetime, I would imagine.
You know, you just can't stop looking at it even though it's a partial eclipse. Now, when it comes to an eclipse as long as the big one, 6 minutes and 54 seconds, 2132 is the next time there'll be a total eclipse that'll be longer than that. Sean Stiles, CBS 8.
Yeah, just really cool stuff, Sean. I actually watched it from a boogie board in PB in the ocean with my niece and nephew, so definitely a moment to remember. It really brought us together, so hope you and yours enjoyed it as well. That'll do it for us. Thank you for your time. Thank you for staying informed. For CBS 8, I'm Jenny Day. Take such good care.